Hey, hope all is well with you and yours. In this video, I'm going to share a couple of ways I've worked with Uruz over the years. The first way I've worked with it is with standing my ground and inviting courage. And one example happened a couple years ago when one of our CEOs had taken over a crisis because our managers had quit based off of some administrative bullshit that was going on. And so when the CEO came in, they just changed everything. They changed a bunch of our policies. They changed our work hours from 4:10s to 5:8s, and it messed everybody up. And with me working graveyards and homeschooling and doing everything else that I do on the land, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. At that point, I was already homeschooling on 2 of the days that I worked. So I was pretty much a zombie at that time. And so like a 5th day, I couldn't see how I can do it and be true to myself and be true to my girls. So I was like, I can't do it. And even though I'd been working at that time 9 years with crisis, it didn't matter. The CEO was just like, do it or leave. And so we had a bunch of back and forth. HR got involved because it started to get a little heated. And at one point I started looking for work, and there really wasn't anything that would work with my schedule and give me the same leeway to do my studies and write and everything else I was doing. So at one point during this time, I started to like, well, maybe I can do it. Maybe, I'll sacrifice, I'll suck it up. And it just didn't feel right. Because I would literally be sacrificing some of my energy and time for my girls. And so being that runes is a big part of my life, I sat and I meditated, like what I needed guidance, I needed help, I needed energy and support. And so as I was meditating, Uruz came up. And one of the things Uruz is connected to is the ancient Uruz, the wild, basically the wild cow. But they were massive, like the size of buffaloes with huge, massive horns and undomesticated. You couldn't domesticate them. And you come into the territory and they would basically stomp you down. And back in the days, Caesar, in his book Gaelic Wars, he talks about how ancient Germanic people would actually hunt and kill the Uruk as a way of testing their courage and their strength and inviting prestige. So with that, when Uruz came up, like that story with Caesar came into mind, and I realized I needed to stand my ground. I needed courage, because at that point I was starting to capitulate and compromise myself, because we can't just live off one income. And so I was starting to give in a little bit. But when I got this rune, I was just like, all right, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to be strong and stick it out. And so for weeks going back and forth, I'm not giving in anymore. I'm like, I'm just going to come to work, do my hours. And the CEO is like, if you do that, then you're refusing to work. So you're basically saying that I was quitting. And so it's going back and forth. I'm pointing out all the reasons why, they should keep me on, because I'm dependable. I've been there for 9 years. I'm the only person in crisis that's been there since the inception of our current team. And it got to the night before I sent my email. I said, all right, then based off of this, I'm giving my notice, giving 2 weeks, and we're just going to wing it. And the next morning, the CEO calls me directly and it's like, all right, we're making an exception for you. You can keep your days and keep your hours. And so that is an example of working with Uruz. And one of the ways that I did it is after after Uruz came up in meditation, then I grabbed my runic power object, which is and for me, that's a fossil of an ancient Uruz. And so I had my object with me at all times, and I'd hold on to it. And just anytime I felt a little weakness or something, I'd use it as a reminder, like, no, stand your ground, stay strong, have courage, you can do this, be true to yourself. And the outcome is that I got what I needed. I got what I wanted. And yeah. So another way that I've worked with Uruz off and on for a long time is helping for grounding. Because to me, one of the things about Uruz is grounding, rooting, and so when I'm in emotional turmoil, or in that case where I'm just like my mind is just churning, and so when I was meditating at that time and Uruz came up, it automatically reminded me, all right, work on grounding, work on coming into the body, work in being here in the moment, get out of the mind. And so when I'm having a difficult time, I'll utilize Uruz. I'll visualize the runic letter, I'll work with the Galdar sound, the root Galdar sounds. So I'll just find stillness and quietude, and then work on the ooh, and really have it from the guttural, from my gut, having that ooh, and just bringing my attention, bringing my focus, bringing my awareness to that sensation, and allowing that to totally immerse all of my focus and all of my attention to the point where then all there is the sound, the vibration, the sensation. Ooh. And I just do that again and again and again. And whenever my mind wanders, or whenever I feel emotionally caught up, again, I just bring my attention back to the sensation, back to the sound, back to the feeling, the energy, and just being present. And usually after about 5 minutes of just doing that, bringing myself back into that space, back into that sensation, back into that awareness of just being present, then it helps shift my energy. It helps bring me into the moment. It helps get me out of my mind. It helps stabilize the emotions. So yeah. So those are 2 ways that I've worked with Uruz over the years. I hope you find something of benefit from this. Until next video, be well and be blessed.